What's up, everybody? Welcome to Aviator's Garage. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're watching this, you're probably interested in the M2 Brute by EVOLPOW. I've had this thing for over a month now. Yes, it was sent to me by EVOLPOW for exchange, my honest thoughts and opinions. So I'm going to tell you some things that I absolutely love about this and also some things that I don't love about this. So let's get into it. First thing that I absolutely love about this piece of equipment is the price point. You get a massive package for just over $1,000 shipped, not including taxes, right to your front door. Now, mind you, yes, you have to put this thing together, but I just want to point out one thing. This is the expansion set. They sent me the expansion set, which includes this pegboard in the rear here, and also this plate that attaches to the Smith bar in order for you to do presses from the ground. That one is a little bit more costly. That one goes up to $12.99 for that setup. However, I must say that this specific setup, if you did not have that, it would still accomplish a lot of the things you need to do that you would go to a gym or a professional gym where you'd pay a monthly subscription. It does come with a moderate amount of accessories to help you aid in your fitness journey, such as right here, this is a landmine attachment. Here's a straight bar. Here is a nice straight bar that you can also use for rows and lat pull downs. This is a different bar that I use. This did not come with this. This actually came with the first generation of an M2 Alpha way back in the day. I have a video here you can check out. But it also comes with this tray. If you get the expansion edition, and you can see I use this for all the tools that came with it. It actually comes with some decent tools to put the thing together, which I was pretty impressed by. However, I do recommend, if you're going to build this thing, that you go ahead and invest in a socket wrench set. It'll save you a boatload of time. The other things that are very impressive about this specific machine is the pull-ups on the wide grip angles are padded. They've added an extra touch as they're improving their products in order to make sure that you get a really good industrial feel, which I find is really nice. However, there is an issue that I'll talk about later when it comes to the cons for these pull-up bars and how they're arranged. Moving forward from there, you can see that they did a really good job in saving space based on where you are going to be placing this in your house. You can see that my garage is extremely tight, and I've got a car sitting there, a couple cars on the driveway, plus I have another functional trainer here, and the footprint of this thing is just right for the space available in order for me to have a good quality home gym feel. It's not necessarily that I would need this functional trainer, because another positive thing about this is it does come with two pulley systems. And you can see here where you load the plates in order to adjust your weight, especially on this side as well. The great thing about having two pulley systems is I can do different workouts targeting different muscles, saving me time. One thing that I do also appreciate, I have not installed these on my specific machine, but they are available to those that have a little bit more room that could go ahead and access the back side of the machine. And what you'd end up doing here is installing these holders in these holes right there, a total of 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you can use them to store Olympic or standard plates. So you could pretty much have all of this in one spot, so you'll be able to sit there and utilize your Smith machine, pulleys, and or if you get an Olympic bar, the J-hooks, so you can maximize your power lifts, your CrossFit workouts, whatever you can think of, whatever your imagination can come up with. But for me, you can see how I just don't have the room to install those. And also, I was kind of thinking about maybe drilling them and having them stick out here. The only problem is that since I use Olympic bumper plates, those Olympic bumper plates would come up and they most likely hit anything that was stored. So it wouldn't work for my specific application. Another thing that I find really easy and awesome, especially when you're losing your breath and you're doing some really good high quality power lifts, I just love how they took the time to number at least every other hole so that you can remember where your settings are, so it's that much faster for you to adjust any type of J-hooks, maybe your dips, even the safety arms that you can see here, which very cleverly are stored in the back of the machine standing up. Really simply, you just twist them, pull them up, and you can see that there's a hole down there, and that's where these things go out of the way. So, you can also see that there's some holes down the bottom of the cage, and what you can do is you could either take these dip bars and you can install them right here, just like so, and then that way those are out of the way. Or if you're utilizing your dip bars, you can take your J-hooks and place them there as well. Now, if you do purchase the expansion set for $12.99, you have this awesome tray here where you can put them up here, or to include some kettlebells, maybe some really light weights. Definitely not tools the way I have this set up, but you can do what you need in order to maximize and save time for your workout. One thing I find phenomenal, I absolutely love these dip bars. They feel really good in my hands. I know they're not exactly the best quality out on the market, but with the way the plastic handle feels in my hand while I'm doing an actual dip, there's just, I gotta be honest, it's just perfectly placed for where I am and the way my body's built. Another thing is there is a landmine attachment, as I stated, that it does come with it there. This is a very interesting piece of equipment that is really good for power generation or any type of mobility exercises. They didn't spare any expense, and what they did is they added this to the workout. The other thing is here, it's a little difficult for me to use this to its full potential because of my lack of space. Where they put it versus other machines on the market, I thought was very well thought out. Most of the machines put them in the center here, and unfortunately, if you put them in the center, you kind of get limited by how wide the rack is. This here extends it out of the way, and theoretically, if you don't have anything in the way here, you can utilize all of the space all the way to, say, oh man, possibly almost 260 plus degrees all the way around the machine in order to get some real good quality workouts. Another thing I wanted to give a great mention to, which is, yes, it's an added cost. This bench is so comfortable, and it is just one nice piece of equipment. It's extremely sturdy, very durable. The steel is probably at least 14 gauge, maybe 12 gauge or better. It has really nice lettering for the angles that you want to set up when it comes to seating, all the way up to 20 degrees for your butt tucks, which is absolutely nice. And it comes with these really easy, almost like rollerblade wheels that make it super easy to transport around your area. This handle makes it super easy. Now, yes, it is comfortable. The padding is absolutely comfortable on the backrest and on the seat cushion. I wouldn't give it necessarily commercial grade. However, this thing, for the price, you are getting a really good durable piece of equipment. I have to give it to them. This bench by far is absolutely amazing. Now, the number one thing that I love about the M2 Bravo Brute is the Smith bar. This by far is where I get the most use, and paired with the bench, when I'm doing any type of presses, especially incline press, generally where I feel a little intimidated to do by myself, it is one of the smoothest, easiest feelings with safety involved, because I'm in control of making sure that I use the hooks to lock up the weight. So if you work out at home, the Smith machine on this piece of equipment is very good for the price you are paying. If you just pay $10.99 and you have tons of weight and everything, especially bumper plates, I'm very positive if you are cost restricted to what you can afford to pay for, you're going to be very happy with this Smith machine. All right, now that we worked out some of the things that I absolutely love about the machine, I'm going to tell you some of the things that unfortunately I don't like about it at all. As I mentioned before, this is the expansion set. With the expansion set, you get the pegboard here. I believe you get the chains. Maybe you get the ankle strap, and then you also get the shelf here, of course, with the expansion set, and then you get this. So overall, Yeah, I mean, I think it's great that I can go ahead and hang attachments there so they're visible. I know where they are. I can get to them. For the price, I'm not 100% sure that it's worth the extra $200 to $300 with taxes to have that attaches to the Smith bar in order for you to do leg presses. Personally, I have not tried to do this just because I know it's going to be horribly uncomfortable for me, and I'm pretty sure I don't want to have to take the time to utilize these clasps, which have little butterfly nuts, in order to make sure it's secure, in order to get those kind of lifts, when I could take that extra $300 and possibly put it to a dedicated hack squat machine. There's tons of those out in the market, and surprisingly, they're not too expensive. This is a Ritfit BLP01 2-in-1 hack squat machine and also leg press. This machine here, I can get well over, I believe it'll hold 1,200 pounds if I can ever get that crazy, which I probably won't. But you're going to be, depending on sales, I've seen this thing go for $650. So I would rather save some money and take that $300 that I would be spending for this setup and put it towards something else that would be more dedicated. Now, I understand completely if you don't have the space and you can't get a 2-in-1 hack squat, you're probably going to want to think about something that does provide an alternate way to press. For me, it's just ergonomically, it's probably not going to be too comfortable. Just my thoughts. One thing I am a little disappointed as well is for the M2 Bravo Brute, they decided to use this 2x2 by 1 inch type of frame, and unfortunately that type of frame, you are very limited to any type of aftermarket accessories unless they're made by EVOLPOW in order to utilize on this power cage itself. I had another piece of equipment that was a different brand, and that was the M2 Alpha, and I could utilize other brands' equipment because the uprights here were actually 2x3x1, and it matched up beautifully, and I could utilize other types of pieces of equipment on the pulley systems here. So I think maybe they did a 2x2 in order to save money to keep this Smith machine at a lower price point, so more people had it available, possibly within their budget. The only problem is generally if you're getting into the home gym setup, especially in your garage, or maybe you're lucky enough to have your own air-conditioned room, you're going to be buying a bunch of stuff that you think you're going to use, but then you probably don't use, or you may have something lying around that hopefully will fit, and then what happens is you end up kind of accumulating things and trying to figure out how to get rid of them. Anyway, it's just a part of the home gym garage journey that I've understood. It's just something that you're going to have to get used to. But I just wish that these were 2x3. Another thing, so this, I said before, I absolutely love these dip handles. All right, they also have 2 handles. They're out there for anybody who's a little bit larger in stature, maybe more of a wingspan. But I just want to show you, look at the quality in the welding. Well, I'm not a welder, so I'm thinking this is actually pretty good. And the steel itself is definitely at least 14 or 12 gauge steel. I don't have a gauge meter right here. But when you look at the actual frame itself, you can see how thin that is. And that itself, I'm going to say that's closer to 14 to maybe 16 gauge steel. So you can see that the uprights themselves, if these were to take any massive type of hit, they would be very unusable, for a lack of better words. So I'm not saying a lot of people are going to go ahead and start beating the crap out of their gym equipment when they get it, but if you are a power lifter and you want to slam things around and you're lifting well over 400 pounds in other areas, you may want to think twice or be very careful when you're utilizing this piece of equipment for your workouts. Alright, so this is one of the major problems that I had with EVOLPOW, and I wanted to point this out. This is a safety arm, or the safety spotter arms, and I had to stop filming or using any type of Olympic bar with the J hooks just because I didn't have the availability of the spotter arms. And the spotter arms, what I'd like to show is I think that they skimped out a little bit on the building process of these, The material is a little thin, and I don't think the welding was that great. However, it's been awesome. I've been talking with EVOPOW. I said, hey guys, I have to stop filming. I can't use this for my workouts. You need to look at these safety arms, because I had one fail on me. And according to customer service, these safety arms are designed only to hold 700 pounds. There are other power racks out on the market where they come with safety arms that are definitely rated to hold 1,000 pounds. And the thing that I'm disappointed is that they take a lot of time in order to do, looks like laser cut out their logo, but for the welding, there's gaps you can see there. Plus the steel here, that was doomed to fail, and it sure failed on me. But I want to show you the difference in other pieces of equipment that come from the same manufacturer that kind of baffles me. Here, look at these J-hooks. These J-hooks are beefy. They're built real well. The welding right here is outstanding. Well, for what I know about welding. But you can see, this thing is heavy. This thing probably weighs about 2-3 pounds. And I have confidence it's going to be able to hold an Olympic bar. These, on the other hand, they are, I swear, maybe a pound heavier. So what they did is, you can see the thin steel there. What happened is they skimped out on the welding, and it caused a failure for me on that one. Now what they did is they fixed the problem as fast as they could, and they sent me new lever arms. And these new lever arms, they didn't thicken up the metal, but what I noticed they did is they seem to add a touch more welding maybe, but the metal is still very thin. I'm not 100% confident in these things. So maybe you can find some aftermarket safety arms, and then that way you can add them to this setup here. But the problem is that I think they should come included, and unfortunately they don't here. So that could be a major drawback. The thing that I was disappointed especially about the 2x2 framing that they utilized for this whole machine is that I could not use the, I had a major fitness lat pull down attachment and also leg extension attachment in order to do lat pull downs. So this is the best thing I could come up with this machine, since I'm limited, which still works fine, but it's not really a lat pull down per se. It's kind of, I want to say an angled row, but with the foot plates down here, at least I have this. So that's a plus. The feeling of it, I don't know, I do the best I can with what I got in order to make sure that I can get a really good deep workout. However, it's not really truly like that gym quality feel lat pull down. And obviously what I can do is I can always bring these down in order to set up and do some type of row with this, no problem. But anyway, one thing you do want to consider here is that when you're assembling this, which I did not like at all, I literally had to bang this thing in with a, you can see also too, with the amount of weight I'm using, see this little bow and dimple here, and right here as well. I'm starting to bend this piece of the machine here, which I don't know, I think over time has a probability of failure. And the other thing too is this thing just is free willy-nilly, and it will just move on you. So just be careful. If you have this thing up and you're working out here and it falls on your toe, it's gonna hurt. Just giving you a heads up. That could definitely be improved upon. One thing that I was extremely disappointed was how they design the pull-up bar here. And I was so excited about seeing this when they were gonna send it. The only problem is it's great if you're doing wide grip pull-ups, awesome. If for whatever reason though, you want to do a military style pull-up, I just don't have the strongest wrists. And then you see where the knurling is? I don't know why they put this support bar right there. I guess it's because how the machine is designed. Unfortunately, there's just two bolts holding this thing together that as you assemble the machine, you put it in these two holes, and this is how it stays together. It's just that this support here is just in a god-awful position. I wish it was further out here maybe, or further in, I don't know. but it just kills the purpose of the knurling there. I don't know, you guys tell me. Unless if you can do really close grip, at least for me, this feels really close in order to do a military style pull-up. I don't know, you tell me on that one. All right, now overall, I think the pulley systems are very adequate. They're good. They feel good. They're not as good as a dedicated functional trainer. However, they will do the job. And the thing I just want to point it out, which I noticed, is in reality, when you're trying to adjust the pulleys themselves, they're not as easy one-handed operation. You definitely have to use two hands as opposed to other pieces of equipment. Like this one's all day long, one hand, no problem. However, this machine comes at a different price point versus this one. The other thing I want to point out too is I want to show you the wear and tear that you're seeing on the plastic, or excuse me, the rubber ball stop right here. You can see that over time, I'm not sure if you're going to need to replace these or not. So those are things to consider. Now, when it comes to the movement feeling of the machine itself on these pulleys, it's super smooth. No issues. It's just a little crunchy when you get back to this spot here. So it looks cool. They got their EP right there. I'll give them that. And there you go. And you got two pulleys. Just something for the future developments of their products. If they could improve that to make it a little bit smoother, feel a little bit more, I don't know, robust, I'm not sure you can at a $10.99 price point. All right, so overall, the biggest concern that I have about the machine is if you're gonna get into a power rack just like this, there are added costs. It's not gonna just be $10.99. So you really need to consider, you've gotta add some type of Olympic plates, and those can get really expensive. You're gonna have to get an Olympic bar, which those, for a nice quality one, you're gonna be adding at least another $300, probably even $400. The good news is you're not gonna have to worry about attachments, but however, if you want a really good gym quality feel, some of these definitely feel that way. This rope attachment is outstanding. It's like something I would pay a membership for. However, when it comes to your pull down bars, they're okay. They're just okay. But overall, if you're gonna get into this setup here as you see it, with everything to include the Olympic bars, the weights, this is definitely running you around $2,600. So just think about that before you're push and click on the $10.99 price. All right, so that's my honest review of the EVOLPOW after a month of usage. If you're interested in purchasing this thing, I have a coupon code I'm throwing right here. That's going to save you 5%, and it helps the channel grow. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. If you like EVOLPOW, I have a video here you need to check out. And if you like workout content, hey, check out this playlist. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for watching. This is John the Pilot, Aviator's Garage. Till the next video, see ya.